Good morning, everybody. I'm sorry I can't be with you this morning. But what I want to do in the course of the next 20 to 25 minutes is to look at some of the threats and opportunities that face design and technology and the association's response to those, particularly those relating to the National Curriculum Review and what some of the implications of those recommendations might actually be and the actions we need to take. Then to do some forward thinking about, depending on what the outcome of the National Curriculum Review is, what that new vision for design and technology should actually look like, and based on that new vision, ultimately what a new curriculum for design and technology should look like. And within that, your role and your colleague consultants, what your role in actually bringing about this vision and a new curriculum for design and technology should be. So let's have a look. Let's start by looking at the threats to design and technology. First of all, the English Baccalaureate preempted the National Curriculum Review, and already we know that there is a distorting effect that is beginning to have in schools. Pupils being dissuaded from studying practical and creative and technical subjects at Key Stage 4 in favour of EBAC subjects, and in some cases and in some schools, the changes that are taking place at Key Stage 3 also, where with pupils being withdrawn from design and technology as low down as Year 7 to do additional modern foreign languages. So English Baccalaureate, we know, is already having a distorting effect within the curriculum. Following on rapidly from that was the National Curriculum Review, which was announced just over a year ago now, and we know that the review team, the remit which they were given, was to actually slim down the national curriculum. Not to think about whether it should be slimmed down, but it was definitely going to be to slim down the national curriculum. Even at this stage, we don't know how that's going to be achieved, whether it's going to be achieved by removing or reducing the number of subjects in the national curriculum, or by reducing the content in subjects within the national curriculum, or a combination of both of those. But we'll come back to that later on in the presentation. A further threat, and perhaps the most worrying threat to design and technology, is the lack of understanding of design and technology which still exists. In the course of the last 4 to 5 months now, through the campaign that we've been running, we've been talking to large numbers of MPs, to business and industry, to civil servants, and there is a lack of understanding, or a misunderstanding in some cases, about what design and technology is and what it can actually contribute to the curriculum. We know that ministers want to focus on traditional academic subjects, and we know that design and technology doesn't neatly fit into either of those definitions. Neither does it fit into definitions of vocational qualifications necessarily, and we know that they've been radically overhauled in terms of the numbers which will count towards league table success and the number of GCSE equivalents which most of those qualifications will now provide. And also, having talked to MPs and to civil servants, the fact that even though ministers within the Department for Business Innovation and Skills and Culture, Media and Sport and the Treasury are all talking about the need to rebalance the economy by providing overcoming skill shortages within key sectors of the industry to do with engineering, manufacturing and the creative industries, there does not appear to be any link between the policies and the thinking within those departments and that within the DFE, which is heading much more towards a traditional academic 1950s, 1960s grammar school curriculum. So, what was the association's response to all this? Well, you'll know that back in May last year we produced our manifesto for design and technology, and you will have seen that document and the fact that on the cover of that, the high-profile people from business and industry, from design, from manufacturing, from the CBI, from unions, from engineering institutions and so on, who signed up to say that they believed in the value of design and technology as part of a broad and balanced curriculum. We followed that up in July by talking to many of the people who had subscribed and signed up to the manifesto, and produced a short 8-minute video talking about the value of design and technology education. And you can still download that from both the association's website and the Believe in D&T website. And then in September, we actually launched the campaign to retain design and technology as a national curriculum subject, the Believe in D&T campaign, and with a dedicated website and the ability to actually sign up to the petition to keep design and technology in a national curriculum. And at the moment, the sign up on that, we know that we have just over 12,000 signatures as part of that campaign, which, when you say it quickly, that sounds quite impressive. But when you think about the fact that we know that there are about 17,000 teachers of design and technology in secondary schools in England, and on top of that there are about 18,000 primary schools, each of which will have a subject leader responsible for design and technology. So at a conservative estimate, there are about 35,000 teachers of design and technology, or related to or involved in design and technology education in England. So 12,000 signatures, whilst it's good, is perhaps not good enough. So we'd certainly encourage you to get teachers that you know or you come into contact with to actually continue to sign up to that petition online, as well as students, local business and industry that schools have contact with, parents perhaps who might not be aware of some of the changes which are coming through, all of whom will have a say in this particular process. In December, just before Christmas, the expert panel published its report, its recommendations, having deliberated for most of the year. And it's important to remember that these are recommendations at this stage. And the fact that Michael Gove has delayed the implementation of English, Maths and Science for a year indicates, we believe, that's a clear indication that there is not widespread acceptance of the recommendations in this particular report at ministerial level, and a need to consult further in order to see the strength of feeling that exists around some of the recommendations in here and whether they should actually be changed or not. But as it stands at the moment, those recommendations effectively indicate a 3-tier national curriculum. You can see the beige-coloured subjects at the top, English, Maths and Science, recommending that each of those subjects should be a national curriculum subject in Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2 lower, Key Stage 2 upper. You'll see that they've divided Key Stage 2 into two 2-year phases, and Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4. The blue subjects which come underneath that are foundation national curriculum subjects: art and design, geography, history, modern foreign language, music and PE, which again will be national curriculum subjects with a statutory programme of study, but a much slimmed down programme of study compared with the very detailed programme of study which will exist for the core subjects. And then below that, in green, come what are termed now subjects which are part of the basic curriculum, not national curriculum subjects, but still important enough to be compulsory. Not all of those run across all 4 key stages, but design and technology and ICT do. So, what are the implications of those recommendations if they are followed through? Well, design and technology would be compulsory in all 4 key stages. There wouldn't be a statutory programme of study. Individual schools would be able to decide on the content which they delivered as part of their design and technology curriculum. And whilst some of those, whilst that provides opportunities and allows some schools to flourish, I think the overall threats that this provides for the subject outweigh the opportunities, particularly when you begin to think about the amount of time which could be allocated to design and technology. In primary schools, there would be no time allocation, there would be no programme of study to deliver, so design and technology could be delivered in 1 week in the summer term, a series of afternoons in the summer term. In secondary schools, it could be that it's reduced to a period a week, or again, depending on the staffing that's available, it could be that the subject's breadth is reduced. If, for example, the textiles teacher leaves, do we need to replace that expertise within the department, or do we just cut that element from the D&T curriculum? So there's obviously threats to staffing there as well. But I think above anything else, the largest threat is to the actual modernisation of the subject. We know from looking at GCSE results, we know from looking at Ofsted reports that there is a need to actually move the subject in many schools towards a much more relevant 21st century experience, much more use of electronic systems and control. And without a statutory programme of study, it will be much harder to ensure that that takes place at a national level. The ability to move schools forward when they can continue to do what they've always done will be that much more difficult. So I think there are a number of serious threats to the subject which are posed by that expert panel report. What are the next steps in that process? Well, round about now, there is further consultation which is taking place on the expert panel recommendations. That's not being widely talked about, and I'll come on to that in a minute. Following on from that, we would expect that ministers will make an announcement round about April time, possibly Easter time, in terms of their response to the expert panel report, and saying that these are the decisions which they would like to move forward with. When they do that, that will then be followed by a 10 to 12 week period of statutory consultation. But we know from previous experience that once it gets to that stage, it's very, very difficult to change ministers' opinions. So it's important that we actually continue to lobby and campaign to make sure that we get the right decisions in place before ministers make those announcements. So what can we do at the moment? Well, as I've already said, we can encourage as many people as possible to sign up to that petition because numbers do count. We can provide case studies. As an association, we're looking to develop and to be able to publicise as many case studies as possible of students who've studied design and technology, either at GCSE and or at A-level, who've gone on to work in related careers, whether that be in manufacturing, engineering, food technology, and who are able to say that they are doing those jobs and working at the level which they are at the moment because of the experience which they had within design and technology in schools. They're very powerful in terms of being able to explain what the subject does and the career opportunities it provides. What you can also do is to write a letter explaining why design and technology should remain in the national curriculum to your local MP and to Michael Gove. But, I say, most importantly, what you can do, and it's got to be done fairly quickly now because time is running out on this, so really we're saying you probably need to do this evening or tomorrow, is to email the DFE review team at that particular email address, nationalcurriculumreview.feedback@education.gsi.gov.uk. That email address hasn't been widely publicised, but it is part of the DFE which is taking feedback on the expert panel report, and will feed that information back to ministers, and it will inform discussion at ministerial level about what they should do in terms of that report. Tell them why you disagree with the expert panel. It doesn't need to be a long email, but you do need to tell others to do the same. If you've written to an MP previously, you might like to update them and tell them what you're doing here. You can go on to both our website and the campaign website to see what our response has been if you want to take some guidance in terms of the sorts of things that you might want to be saying in your feedback to the DFE. Please don't copy what we've included on our website, because they will ignore it if there is just a template response. But it will give you guidance on the sorts of things, may give you a clue as to the sorts of things that you want to be saying. This is really important, and we do need to get this done. We need to get as many people responding to that email address by the end of February, which I say really we need to be thinking about that within the next couple of days. Following on from that then, we would expect that following on from that consultation which I talked about, ministers would make their final decisions about the shape of the curriculum and which subjects are national curriculum subjects, which are not, round about the end of the summer, beginning of the autumn, and that would then provide a year for the development of new national curriculum programs of study for those subjects that are deemed to be national curriculum subjects, to be developed between September 2013 and September 2014, when the first teaching of the new national curriculum will take place. That timeline, those dates, there's nothing being announced about those, so it's our best guess of what we think may happen, and obviously those timings can certainly change. Okay, that's where we are at the moment in terms of the review. I said we'd spend a little bit of time thinking about a vision for the subject moving forward. And I've called this an old vision for design and technology, and you'll probably recognise this, that this is the important statement from the current national curriculum. A very comprehensive, very detailed statement, which when you read through it, it gives a clear indication of what the subject involves and the challenge which it provided. And in terms of when you think about that, we're asking individual students, individual pupils to do this range of activity involving this knowledge and skills from a wide range of different aspects of the subject. It indicates how challenging the subject can actually be. However, when you actually look at that, it's not really a soundbite, is it? And to try and actually use that to describe what design and technology is and what it does and the contribution it makes to the curriculum is quite difficult. And as a result, going back to what I said earlier, I think there is no doubt that design and technology is not understood, or at least it's not well understood, by a whole range of different people. Certainly politicians, certainly civil servants, many industry leaders and employers, possibly parents, although that may be getting less as more opportunity as parents, as children who've studied design and technology go on to become parents themselves. And dare I say it, that design and technology is not well understood by some head teachers and even teachers. So we need to do something in terms of thinking about what the subject means, the contribution that it can make, what that vision for design and technology within the curriculum should actually be. And one of the reasons why I'm not able to be with you today is the fact that we are holding today in Birmingham the first of a series of meetings looking to actually help define that vision. And we're working with a range of individuals and organisations, teachers, industry, employers, professional institutions, and holding meetings and online events to actually begin to formulate a view of what that vision for design and technology moving forward should actually be. And we would like you to be part of that process. So please do look on the website. There will be a range of meetings which are taking place, as I say, either face-to-face or online. You can get involved in this process. Once we've done that, and it's not necessarily going to be an easy process, but we would anticipate that that will take the next 3 to 4 months to actually go through that process. What we then need to do is to start looking at what the new curriculum would be that comes out of that vision. If it's a national curriculum subject, if design and technology remains a national curriculum subject, then we have to respond to the Secretary of State's challenge, because he's saying that he wants this to be the last national curriculum review for 20 years, and therefore the national curriculum has to be based on timeless concepts, things that don't change. If you've been listening to the press, you'll know that there's been some debate about the science national curriculum, because it's being said that sustainability, green issues, global warming will not be part of the science national curriculum, because they are not necessarily timeless concepts. But aspects of science such as gravity, oxidation and so on are timeless concepts, so they will be part of the national curriculum for science. The expectation will be that schools, science departments in schools will continue to teach about global warming, sustainability, and so on, but that will be part of the school curriculum as opposed to the national curriculum. It's really interesting then to begin to think about, well, what are those timeless concepts for design and technology? And that's something that we do need to think about moving forward. It's also an opportunity to think about the changes which have taken place in terms of technical, practical education, because we haven't really had the opportunity to do that, or if we've had the opportunity, we haven't taken that opportunity. Starting from the roots of the subject, the roots of design and technology and handicraft, where the aim was very much about practical skill development and learning about materials. And as that developed in the 70s and 80s into craft design and technology and home economics, we kept the practical skills, we kept the materials knowledge, and we added into that some design skills and technological knowledge. And the late 80s and early 90s, as that developed into national curriculum design and technology, we kept all of that previous skills and knowledge, and we started to add in new materials, new processes, smart materials, computer-aided design, computer-aided manufacturing, etc., etc. And at no point have we stopped and said, what do we take out of that curriculum? So the subject content has continued to increase, where at the same time we begin to look at the time which has been available in the curriculum to actually deliver that. When you go back to handicraft, whether that was woodwork or needlework or cookery, and in many cases that's what you did. When I was at school, I did 2 years of woodwork, I did 2 years of metalwork, and I did a year of technical drawing. By the time I was teaching, it was craft design and technology or home economics, and in many schools at that time you did half a year of each and switched between the two. And typically now, when you're looking at design and technology, particularly at Key Stage 3, because of the range of aspects of within the subject, typically the Key Stage 3 delivery is based around a rotational model, a carousel model, which gives pupils experiences of 6 to 8 weeks in a range of different aspects, whether that be resistant materials, systems and control, textiles, food, and so on. So effectively, in many schools, the available curriculum time has decreased over that same period. I think what we have now is a real opportunity to think about what that content for a 21st century D&T experience should be, and the amount of time and how we actually go about delivering that. So as they say, with every threat there is an opportunity, and I think there is a real opportunity here to think afresh about what the content and the way in which we deliver that content should be moving forward. If you force me to say what I think the content of that curriculum should be, and it's a personal view at this stage, but I think it obviously has to have relevance to 21st century learners. I think we can no longer justify continuing to make CD racks, steady hand games, pencil cases, because they're not the sorts of things that are relevant to children who are living and growing up in the 21st century. I think it has to have relevance to business and industry, not exclusively, but I think we need to work with business and industry and to inform what that curriculum, design and technology curriculum, should look like, so that we can be assured that the subject is actually developing and growing the skills and knowledge that business and industry need. I think it has to be based around high quality work, high quality designing, high quality making, whether that be by hand, machine or CNC, and it has to be about better and enhanced links to STEM and engineering, whether that be smart materials, electronic systems and control, whether it be e-textiles, whether it be the biosciences in food technology. But across the board we need to really sharpen up and make more explicit some of the links to science and mathematics. I think one aspect of the subject that we've not been particularly good at is careers information, advice and guidance, and I think that becomes increasingly important as we are beginning to expect pupils to make decisions at 14 and at 16, particularly with the advent of UTCs, for example, where students will not only be expected to choose courses at 14 plus, but they might even be expected to choose the institution where they actually study that. So far better careers information, advice and guidance, I think, is going to be an important part of the subject. And I think we need to think about how design and technology can actually help students follow careers both at graduate level through the traditional GCSE A-level route, but also how working with materials, practical experience of working with materials can actually open up career opportunities both at craft and technician level, and particularly the technician level, because that's where the big skill shortages are. So, what's the role of the consultant? I said we'd finish off by talking about what the role of the consultant in this changing landscape will be. We know that the local authority role is diminishing. We know that national organisations that had previously been able to provide support for schools such as Specialist Schools and Academies Trust, QCDA, BECTA, have all gone or are going. We know that there are increasing numbers of academies who don't have to follow national curriculum necessarily, free schools, university technical colleges. We know that there is the first 100 teaching schools have been identified who are going to be expected to take a greater responsibility for initial teacher training and professional development. 4 of those 100 have been designated as leading on design and technology at the moment, and we're working with those and meeting with those to see how we can work with them to work collaboratively on that remit. And the role of SLEs, which is effectively taking over from ASTs, is still uncertain. So therefore, what we want to do as an association is to make sure that our consultant members, who have huge amounts of knowledge and expertise, we want to make sure that that knowledge and expertise continues to be a vital source of quality assured professional development, professional training and consultancy. So what we will be doing over the course of the coming year is working to develop our membership service or membership provision for our consultant membership. And when you actually look at the range of those consultants that we work with at the moment, not only yourselves as RDT HSCs, but we've got CAD/CAM trainers, we've got electronics trainers, local authority consultants, independent consultants, people that have worked with the Food in Schools program, all of which we want to bring together. We want to standardise the services which we actually provide to you as consultant members, and we want to be able to provide for you a service which allows you to market your expertise and consultancy services to schools in an easily accessible and searchable database, so that schools, if they're looking for design and technology expertise, they can either search geographically or they'll be able to search by the topics that they are actually interested in and to find consultants who are able to actually provide that for them. As I say, we're beginning to work on that already, and we're looking to make that available over the course of the coming year, and we'll make sure that we keep you informed about the process. Well, I think one thing that is certain is that your role within that process cannot be underestimated, because there will be no other source of expertise that is available to schools, and therefore we want to make sure that that is maximised. So, 2 questions to leave you with as you go into the rest of the day. Not necessarily that you want answers or we'll be able to provide answers to them immediately, but we would be very interested in hearing from you over the course of the next few weeks. What do you think that new vision for design and technology should involve? Bearing in mind some of the slides which I've shown you previously. And then having decided on that, what do you think the implications of that new vision will be for a D&T curriculum, both in terms of content, the resources that are needed to support it, and the professional development that you feel will be needed by teachers who are tasked with actually teaching that new curriculum. So it's an opportunity to let us know, to get involved in that discussion. Please do get involved. Please do let us know. And thank you very much for listening. Have a good day.